everyone. Welcome to our webinar of ALG-AD project. Thank you very much to join us. And today we have a really interesting topic. We'll talk about decision support tool and how to grow algae on digestate. So all data combining from the project is summarized in one specific tool, and you will see a demonstration of it today. So firstly, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Lindsay Melvin, who is professor of the environmental engineering, and currently she leads the bioresource and bioeconomy research group at Birmingham City University. She leads the scenario planning work package on the Interreg funded project ALG-AD, and this work explores the long-term sustainability and commercial viability of the algal cultivation process. Together with the work package team, she has developed a series of online tools to support and inform stakeholders who wants to explore this in particular application. So Lindsay, floor is yours.
Thank you, Ella. Just going to share my screen. Can everybody see that okay? Hopefully so. Okay, yes. So I'm going to talk about the ALG-AD decision support tool. So I'm going to provide a very brief overview of the decision support tools that were developed as part of the ALG-AD project. And then following my short presentation, Gulong will provide a live demonstration of the tools as well. So you probably know that the ALG-AD project aim was to explore the opportunity to utilise microalgae to capture excess nutrients from digestate from anaerobic digestion. And so the project had a number of key activities, and we collected data from these activities. So we looked at the AD process itself and the digestate characteristics and their suitability for cultivating algae. We looked at options for pre-treatment of the digestate. We looked at design and configuration of the photobioreactors. We assessed the process performance and productivity, and then we also explored the requirements for downstream processing of the algae biomass. And then finally, we looked at the characteristics, the quality and the safety of the algae biomass for animal food and feed. So what we did was we collected all of the data, the information, and tacit and explicit expert knowledge from our partners and from our stakeholders. And we developed a series of online decision support tools using this data. And these tools were designed to identify potential future opportunities. So AD sites that were suitable for algae cultivation, to identify relevant stakeholders across the supply chain, and also support organisations to support our stakeholders. It was also designed to assess commercial and technical viability of the technology and the processes. So we did a techno-economic assessment of using the data from the performance trials. The tools are also designed to help optimise the process, so the process design and the operation, the performance, and also to evaluate the environmental impact, so the long-term sustainability of the process as well. So we invite you to have a look at our online decision support tools, and I think Clara or Gulong can put the link into the chat so you can go live and have a look at those tools. We actually developed 4 tools as part of the project. 3 were search tools, and I'll explain those in a little bit more detail now. And the 4th one was a process pathway tool, which helps you to better understand the algae cultivation process and the PBR implementation based on your unique AD process conditions and also your future requirements. So the AD search tool is the first tool that we've developed, and it helps you to selectively identify AD sites that have the greatest opportunity for algae cultivation. So we've utilised data that currently exists in the public domain, so they're existing data sets, and we've actually mapped over 7,500 AD plants across the regions that were specific to this project, so the UK, France, Belgium and Germany. So what you can do with this map tool is you can select a particular region, and you can look at all of the AD plants in that particular region. You can then select by type of feedstock, and for the ALG-AD project, we felt that the most suitable feedstock were those that were predominantly plant-based feedstocks. So if you had a mixed feedstock containing, for example, animal manures or human wastes, for example, you may need to do some additional pre-treatment of the digestate to make it more suitable for algae cultivation. So you can then select on a particular AD plant, and you can look at the details of that plant, and particularly the feedstocks, but also the nominal capacity of the plant in terms of the feedstock or in terms of energy or biogas production. The next tool is a document search tool, and this tool will allow you to explore over 150 documents that we have within a library. This includes all of the latest research publications. It includes technical reports, information on policy and regulations and permitting that are relevant to this particular application. And of course, it also includes our unique project reports as well. So we're not quite at the end of the project. So we're still developing these databases, and we're still supplementing the tools with additional documents. So if there's a document that you see that's really relevant to the project or to our stakeholders that you think is important, then by all means let us know and we'll include it within this repository. The next tool is a Stakeholder Search tool, and this will allow you to identify and connect with over 3,600 stakeholders, predominantly in the Northwest Europe region where our partners are based, where the project was focused, but also we have a number of stakeholders that are globally representative as well. And these stakeholders represent the whole value chain, so everyone from AD operators through to algae cultivators, technology providers, all the way through to the food and feed suppliers. It also offers comprehensive business support ecosystems. So our stakeholders can link into, for example, trade bodies, industry associations, partners who can offer research and development support or potential policy guidance. And then the final tool is the process pathway tool, and this allows you to explore whether algae cultivation could work for you. So it takes the end user through a series of queries and provides a report at the end, and it helps you to understand the key equipment and infrastructure requirements, for example. It helps to identify process considerations for implementing a photobioreactor, to explore potential scale and productivity, and also to understand the commercial viability of a particular technology based on your own AD plant, your own circumstances. It also draws information from our life cycle assessment and provides recommendations and information on longer term sustainability of the process. So what you get at the end of that tool is a report that's tailored to yourself that you can download and print, and it's based on your user input into the tool, which you can then save, or you can go back and explore alternative scenarios for operation. So this gives a really high level overview of the process and the process considerations and the types of equipment that you might require. It's designed for predominantly AD operators and predominantly those that don't have a very good understanding of algal cultivation. So it provides links to current research and project reports where necessary, and it also signposts to any additional resources that we think would be useful to yourself. It also provides a very crude estimate of the potential productivity and costs of implementing the technology in the process. What I will say is whilst most of the tools are now developed, we are still validating some of the data with our partners and also with our stakeholders. So feedback is really, really important to us. There's a number of ways that you can support the project and support the ongoing development of the tool. One way is to add or help us to amend any data within the tool, whether that be through the stakeholder database, if you want to be included there, or whether it be an AD plant that needs to be amended or doesn't appear on our map currently. So Gulong can show you how to do that shortly. The other way, which is again very useful to us, is to provide feedback via our feedback tab on the website. And here you can give us feedback on any aspect of the decision support tool. So feedback on the design and the functionality, on the usefulness of the tool to your business, and obviously any areas for improvement as well. So we'd be really keen to hear from you. At the moment, we have on the landing page of the DST, we have an overview of how the tools were developed and the data that we collected that is integrated into those tools. And very shortly, we will have an online demonstration that will take you through the process of using the online tools. We're also in the process of finalising a user guide, which again will provide information on how the tool works, where the data's come from, and how to operate the tools and how to give feedback as well. So that's a very quick overview of the concept. And I'm going to hand over to Gulong now, who's going to, hopefully technology permitting and internet permitting, will give you an overview demonstration of the tools live.
Thank you, Lindsay. Before we start with Gulong's presentation, thank you very much for listening. And I would like to remind our participants, so if you would like to ask any questions, so we'll have Q&A session after 2 presentations. And also in this session, we will invite to the panel Roshni Paul, who will be replying the question on the technical economical aspects. So please just prepare your question. But now I would like to introduce Gulong Zong, who will demonstrate in you decision support tool on online platform. And Gulong is working as a research fellow in the ALG-AD project. Gulong's work focusing on development of the decision support tool in the scenario planning tool work package. And his work mainly covers the development and of AD plan search tool, documents and resource search tool, stakeholder search tool, and process pathway tool as well. So Gulong, please, it's your time now to present our DST.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my screen first. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes,
Yes, we can, yeah.
Okay. Okay, hello. Yeah, I'm Gulong, and my work focuses on the development of DST, which I'm going to show you in this demonstration session. Our DST now is online. There's a link that you can see from the chat box. I just put it there. As you can see from this screen, this is a landing page of our DST. It provides you some brief introduction about our project and about what is decision support. There are some features that we have mentioned here, and also some descriptions of the tools that we have developed, as mentioned by Lindsay. So we have 4 types of tools. And also, as mentioned by Lindsay, the online demo and the user guide will be soon available in the next few weeks. And there's also a contact form where you can contact us for some general questions by giving your name, the email, and message. So we will receive it from our backend. Going top to the website, in the navigation bar, we have provided the access to each of the tools or functions that we are providing in our DST website. For example, under this menu, we have provided a link to our main project website, where you can find more detailed information about our ALG-AD. And in this link, we have provided you audio guide where you can see circuits and activations of our project. You can see some really nice photos, videos, audios here in this audio guide website. And under this decision support tool item, here we have all the tools that we have developed. Under the search drop-down menu, we can see the 3 search tools, the AD prompt search tool, the document and resource search tool, and the stakeholder search tool. Under the explore menu, there is the process pathway tool. I'm going to now demonstrate all the tools one by one to show you how the tools can be used. First is the AD prompt search tool. In this project, we have partners from Belgium, France, Germany, and UK, and we have collected 80 plants information from these 4 countries in the Northwest Europe, and we put them in a GIS map. So you can always start with a country that you would like to select. For example, I'm going to start with UK. And in this page, you will see a GIS map of all the existing AD plants in UK. For the data, we are using ADBA 2022 data as a data source, which we have provided link here. And in ALG-AD project, as mentioned by Lindsay, we categorize UK AD plants into the following 4 types. All these tools are all these AD plants are showing in pins with different colors. We can start by first choosing a type that you would like to see in the map. For example, if I want to see the AD plants all in type 1, by clicking into this one, we can see that all the type 1 AD plants has been shown in the map. And we can further filter it by the regions. Like if I want to see all the type 1 AD plants in England, we can see that all the plants are filtered under these 2 conditions. And we can zoom it further by press the control button with the middle and scroll your middle button of the mouse. So now we have a zoom in view of all the AD plants. And by clicking into the pin, we can see all the detailed information from our database. For example, for this AD plants, we have the information about the operators, about this location, address, postcode, feedstock, electrical capacity, B2G capacity, and total feedstock capacity. And also we have some relevant link to the AD plant where you can actually see the information of this particular AD. For example, for this one, we have some documents for this AD plants where users can read. Similarly, this works for all the AD plants that we have captured in our AD plant search tool. And the list of results is also shown here. You can also check the name from the list. And this logic works for the other 3 countries as well. Let's say in Belgium, we have the same filter functions in a list of results, and in the France as well, we have same thing. You can try it by yourself to see how this filter works. And in Germany, because of the data, currently we take a while to load, because Germany has around 6,000 AD plants. Currently, we are not able to categorize the AD plants in the same way, but we will work it further to make it like what we have provided in the other 3 countries. And this is how, but you can still find the AD plants information in the pin. And this is how the AD plant search tool works. The next, I'm going to show you how the document search tool works. So we can find it from here. As you can see, we have categorized the document tab into the following tabs, and you can always choose one or several, depends on your need. In this demonstration, I'm going to choose the project report, for example, and you can see that the result has already been filtered. There are like 15 states documents found under the tab of project reports and case studies. And further, you can filter it by language. For example, if I want to see all the documents written in French, by clicking into this checkbox, you can see that 5 documents have been found. And by clicking into the link, it takes you to the exact documents where we have collected into our database. You can read it. And we have also provided a search function using the keyword. To use it, you can first set it back to the all category to make the search more widely, and then giving a keyword. For example, if I want to see all the document with regard to the digestate, you can say that after searching by the keywords digested, I have found 19 documents under this search condition. And you can sort it by the alphabet, by for example, by the name or by the date. And you can also check the document to this is from the Science Direct, so you can read it from here. And this is how the document search tool works. Next, I'm going to show you the stakeholder search tool, which is shown from this list. Stakeholders. Similarly, as the document search tool logic, we have categorized these stakeholders into these different categories. And for in the stakeholder search tool, one stakeholder may sit in different categories. For example, from the list shown here, you can see that for this association, it sits in business support as well as policy and R&D. So I'm going to show you how this works. If I want to check what are the business support stakeholders that is collected in our stakeholder database, I can take this box. You can see that it's already being filtered. We have 76 stakeholders found from our database, and we can further filter it by the countries. For example, if I want to see all the stakeholders in UK only, so it's filtered by into 40. And by clicking into the link, you actually see the stakeholders website to get a better understanding of them. And you can contact them through the website. And you can also sort it by the company name for using the alphabet. Similarly, we have offered a keyword search function into the stakeholder search tool by clicking all these filtered. If I want to say something, if I want to check the farm related to the stakeholder, I can type in the keyword farm. And you can see that all the farm has in the stakeholder list have been shown here with the name and all the website or information. And you can visit it by clicking into this. It goes there. And this is how the stakeholder works. Next, I'm going to show you the process pathway, where we can find from the Explore process pathway tool. For the first time of running, it may take a little bit while. So to save the time, I have preloaded it. I'm going to. So I have preloaded it on my browser, so it's here. And for better user experience, please run it with your PC or laptop. So if you try it with iPad or mobile, it may not work that properly as good as in the PC. We can double click it to make it full screen. Lindsay, do you want to?
Yeah. Okay, so the process pathway tool is predominantly designed for AD operators. As we said, the original aim of ALG-AD was to explore nutrient capture from the digestate. So this tool basically leads the end user through a series of queries to explore the complete process pathway from pre-treatment of digestate through to the production of the algae biomass. So what I will say is that you don't need to know exact answers to all of the questions. The tool is there to highlight the key considerations throughout the process. It's a kind of high-level review of the technical requirements. So if we press accept, the other thing to mention is the tool doesn't store any of your personal data. You can print a report at the end, which details all of the requirements and considerations, but it doesn't store any of the data. So once you've printed that report off, it disappears. You can go back to the start and explore, alternative scenarios, but we don't store any of your personal data. So we start by entering a username. Again, this doesn't need to be personal. It could be a project number or a project name. And the first few queries really are about understanding where you want to put the photobioreactor. So location can be important for algae cultivation. Algae tends to grow better in warmer and sunnier climates. Across Northwest Europe, there isn't a significant difference in terms of where you put the photobioreactor. But what this will do is, in the final report, it will give you information about considerations such as the requirement for artificial light, for example, to improve productivity, or it might give you information about having a greenhouse to control light and temperature for the cultivation process. Okay, so next slide. So we want to understand your motivations for growing algae. So we've assumed that most of our stakeholders will want to cultivate algae for high value products. Obviously, this requires better process control and better quality control. If your motivation was purely for bioremediating the digestate, then potentially you could look at an alternative technology such as raceway pond configurations, rather than closed photobioreactors. So we're just trying to get an understanding of your motivations for putting in an algae photobioreactor. Next slide. And obviously you can select one, or you can select all of those, or none of those. So the next slide, we're asking about the nature of the feedstock. So whether you've got any human waste or animal waste. As we mentioned earlier, if the feedstock contains human waste or animal byproducts, then greater consideration would need to be given for the processing of the digestate as it comes out of the AD plant. Obviously, we're exploring this for the potential to use the digestate to grow algae for food and feed, and there are obviously safety considerations around that. So again, we're just understanding what's in the feedstock of your particular plant. Next page. Again, we're looking at whether you have pasteurization prior to AD or after AD. Again, this will have an impact on the quality of the digestate going into the cultivation process. So we're capturing information on that. All of the pages where we feel that you might need further information, as Gulong's showing, we have little information buttons that will give you more detail about the question for clarification. The next page, please. So then we're asking a number of questions about how you currently manage your digestate. So do you process the digestate any further as it comes out of the AD? Next slide. Obviously, it's important, do you have excess digestate that's currently difficult to manage? Because obviously that becomes a priority then for potentially bioremediating, and that was one of our target kind of focus areas at the start of the project. Next slide, please. And if you do have excess digestate, how much excess digestate do you produce a year? Because that might be the fraction that you want to divert to a photobioreactor potentially. Next slide. So also we want to understand about the composition of your digestate, because this is quite important in terms of its suitability for algae cultivation, particularly if there are compounds which specifically might impact or inhibit algae growth or productivity. So again, all of the logic behind this has been informed by our own process trials within the project, as well as the expertise and the experience of our partners on the project and our stakeholders. So this is just collecting some information, if you know it, about the composition of the digestate and the presence of any particular compounds that might be problematic in terms of algae cultivation. Next slide, please. So next we start to explore and understand the economics of the opportunity. So for example, do you have an existing income stream that comes from the sale of the digestate? Obviously that would be factored into any future economic models. Is there any cost involved in terms of treatment of the digestate, and how much? And do you utilize the fertilizer, the digestate currently as a biofertilizer? Next slide. Again, these factors all influence the configuration of the system and the economics of the system. So do you store the digestate? Is there a cost for this? Do you dispose of it? And what's the cost of that? And those are all included in the economic modelling. Next slide, please. Another important consideration is how closely you will locate the photobioreactor to your existing AD plant. Obviously, this will have an impact on the physical infrastructure requirements. So proximity to the AD plant, for example, will influence the costs, as you might have to pipe or transport the digestate from the AD plant to the photobioreactor. So that's an important consideration. Next slide, please. Again, access to utilities will be really important. Do you have close access to mains water, mains electricity and heat potentially? Again, all of these things will influence the cost, the capital expenditure for the project. But also within the report, we can explore opportunities to make the process more sustainable by perhaps reutilising or recirculating the water within the process, or capturing some of the energy from the AD plant. And again, that will influence the overall sustainability and the overall economics of the process. Next slide, please. So here we want to understand whether you have a preference in terms of the reactor design. So we've evaluated a number of different designs within our project. These were at pilot scale. Regardless of your choice, if you have a particular preferred choice, we will give you the advantages and disadvantages broadly of these technologies within the final report. If you have no preference, it will list all three of those different options and the advantages and disadvantages of all of those. Next slide, please. And then the final question, I think it's the final question, is yes. The amount of space that you have available for your photobioreactor, your potential photobioreactor. Again, this helps to inform, along with the amount of digestate or the excess digestate that you're planning to divert, it will give us an idea of the scale of the technology. And then as part of that, the potential yield or productivity from the photobioreactor. So that feeds into our logic behind scalability and economics. Next slide, please. So this is just a final reminder before you hit submit that we're not collecting any of the data. So if you cancel at this point, you will lose the data that's been put in, because we don't want to store any personal data. However, you can submit, download the document, which will give you all of the information and the recommendations, the considerations, and then you can go back and go through the process again to explore alternative scenarios, for example. So at this point, you can create your report and you can download the report, and it will save and print out all of the key considerations based on your input. So I should say at this point that algae cultivation is complex. The technologies, the photobioreactors, are well proven, and they already operate commercially for production of high value products in pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, aquaculture, for example. But growing algae on digestate is relatively new in terms of application. So the project has demonstrated that it is technically feasible, but there are lots of variables that can influence the performance and the productivity of the systems. So this tool is really designed for non-experts who have no or little prior knowledge of algae cultivation. It gives you a kind of high level review of the findings of the project, together with guidance and recommendations and things for you to consider. And throughout the report, what we've done is, where we feel that there is more information and more guidance, we will link to either one of our project reports, which will provide very detailed information about productivity or growth, cultivation, quality, all of those different things, or it will refer you to a particular reference paper that will explore further, the impacts of temperature or weather systems on the cultivation process. So the tools, as the name suggests, are there to support and inform decision making. They're not there to give you a conclusive data on production potential or economic potential, but it helps you to guide you through the process and provide you with more information about the process. So I think that's pretty much it. Gulong, did you want to just demonstrate the feedback and contact tab?
Okay,
and then
thanks.
we can open up to some questions.
Okay, thanks, Lindsay. So the next function we have provided in DST is the add an entry. So in this one, if a user would like to share their AD plant data in our map, they can fill this form, and they will receive the data from our backend, and an expert from our team will validate the information before we publish this into the database. Meanwhile, if a stakeholder would like to have the information shown in our stakeholder database, they can contact us through the contact form that I have explained before in the landing page. So we will also validate the information before we show it in our stakeholder search tool. And for collecting feedback, we have designed a feedback function here. So this allows users to give ratings of all the functions, designs, usability, effectiveness of the tools, and they can leave their feedback through the comment box. So we would appreciate if any users could provide any useful suggestions and feedback for us to improve the function, the design, the data. I think that's almost about the demonstration of our DST.
Okay, thank you very much, Lindsay and Gulon. I think so this really informative for us to see demonstration of the tool and the possibility what it could provide to us, and it looks really promising. So now I would like to open floor for questions. So please, if you have any questions or any related to use of the tool or particular information from the tool, so please, you can put your question in Q&A session. At the moment, I don't see any questions there, or in the chat box, whatever you feel easier for you. Maybe it was that clear then. Nobody has any questions.
One of the things I would say is it's quite a lot to take in, and we've captured a substantial amount of data from a 4-year project across a number of different activities. So process performance, design and configuration, economics, life cycle assessment and sustainability. So the tool holds a wealth of data and information. It's quite a lot to take in. So I understand if there aren't any immediate questions, and if individuals would like to get in touch, we are looking for stakeholders to validate the tools with in a one-to-one session. So it would give you time to potentially have a play around, explore the potential of each of the tools and the design and the functionality, and then explore with us ways to improve or areas that we can develop further within the project before the project finishes. So I would open that invite to anybody on the call today. If you're interested and willing to be part of our validation exercise towards the end of the project, we would welcome that, and you can get in touch with myself or Ala or Clara, and we can take that forward with you in a one-to-one session.
I think, yeah, thanks, Lindsay. I think so. We have two kind of comments. So Sergio asking, I don't have a question at the moment, just wanted to congratulate you for the amazing work, and it's very useful. So thank you very much. And another from Marta, it's possible to enter the system information about AD plant, which are located in other countries, for example, in Italy? Good question.
As far as I'm aware, Gulong may correct me, but yes, I think you could, it's not location specific. We request information on location at the start of the process because, as I mentioned, in Northwest Europe, where we tend to have cooler climates and the conditions of the light are slightly different, there's not a significant difference. Ali, you might be able to correct me, between the UK, France, Germany. Potentially as you move further south, sort of Mediterranean temperatures, you could get better productivity. So as you work through that process pathway tool, the conditions and the recommendations may be very similar, but based on your location, the productivity could be improved if the climate and the conditions of the light are potentially better in a potential location. So I think in short, the answer is yes, you can use it if you're in Italy or elsewhere outside of the region of the project.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, for the algal productivities could be slightly different in the southern location because light is doing lots of benefits to the system, but is also like play cards with the anaerobic digestion composition as well, you know, waste composition. So then it's need to be addressed as well. Yeah.
So that's probably been one of our biggest challenges, is the number of the variables for this new application. As I say, it's a relatively new approach, growing the algae on digestate. Normally, I'm sure you'll agree, for pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, they're very tightly controlled conditions, potable water and supplementing with fossil derived nutrients potentially. So the opportunity here was to utilize a waste resource and to bioremediate the digestates, take out some of those excess nutrients that could potentially harm the environment in nitrate vulnerable zones. That was the original aim of the project. However, there are lots of challenges, I'm sure you'll agree, with doing that, because digestate, as any AD operator will know, isn't a clean product and substrate for growing algae. So the biggest challenges have been understanding the composition of the digestate and pre-treating that digestate so that it's a suitable substrate for algae cultivation.
Yeah, and additionally to it, Lindsay, is just to run the system on industrial location. What as we know from the research perspective, you know, is could be quite challenging compared to the university safe laboratory conditions.
Of course, and that has all of the additional challenges of understanding economics at commercial scale as well. Our project explored pilot scale cultivation technologies. We are getting information now from our partners on scale up of those processes, and they are technically feasible. But we're just about getting to understand the economics of scalability as well. That's been another challenge.
Yes. Okay, so I think we're done with the questions. So if you have any additional question, and if you will be listening this in recording, and if you have questions, so please contact us on the comments box below in YouTube channel when this video will be located, or addressing direct question to Lindsay, Roshni, Gulon, myself, or any other members of team. And lots of information you can find on our website as well. And on our ALG-AD YouTube channel, you can see the recording of the previous webinars. And in this kind of formats, we're not doing any more webinars because our project will come to the closure very soon. And yeah, in the comment box of this session, you can see now our YouTube channel link. So you please subscribe to our channel, and you'll see previous video and future videos as well. And I would like to just remind them we have several events still planned by the end of our project. So if you would like to go and visit one of the pilots in Belgium, in Ugent University, they're organizing on 19th of May, open kind of, not open day, but like a workshop showcase with demonstrating results from the project and demonstrated the facilities in Belgium. And also one of the, and there you can see link to register to this Belgium workshop. And also additionally to it, we will be organizing not a webinar, but it will be like Facebook Live, Facebook's like session with Barbara, who was working in Cooperl facilities, and basically she'll be demonstrating data from the feed trial with pigs when we use algal biomass grown on digestate, and how it's improved, or the pig growth and so on. So this webinar will be on beginning of June. Just double check. Yes, exactly. I think it's yeah, will be on. Yeah, the data will be provided later on our Facebook channel, on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So please, you're welcome to come to join us. Yeah, it will be on the 7th of June, and we have a link now, yeah, for the Facebook channel. Thank you very much, Clara. So it will be on 7th of June. Usually it's about like same time as midday or 1 o'clock. It will be announced a bit later. All right, so I would like to thank you all today to be with us, to see fantastic presentation from Lindsay, Glon, and esteemed Ms. Roshni. And we're wishing you a really good afternoon, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Ella. Thanks all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.